Mr. Robert, how are you?
Hello,
I'm
Luis. How are you?
excellent, excellent. Very, very excited. I really, really appreciate and thank you a lot for your time. I know you have a very busy schedule, and I really, really appreciate a lot. Thank you.
Well, I tell you what, you're more than deserving. In all the years I've been involved in the network marketing industry and the marketing profession, you have been always one of the top one or two distributors I've ever had. And so, man, your production is well deserving. I do one of these every day for you if you wanted.
No, thank you, thank you, thank you, Robert. I really appreciate it. As I told you before, I mean, I consider you my friend, my mentor. I mean, I value a lot everything that you have done. It's amazing, and I mean, every time you share something, I'm open to hear. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I wanted to ask you, I mean, some questions which I think is very, very important. I'm very passionate about this profession, as you all know.
Yes.
And what would be your suggestion that are the most critical first steps for somebody that is brand new in this profession? What would be your suggestion in that regards?
Well, one of the things that I would tell people, and I actually stumbled in this by accident, Luis. I don't look at anything by accident because of my faith in God. But here I was on workman's comp. I wasn't making any money. I was about ready to lose my car. I was about ready to lose my home. And someone said, listen, I want to introduce you to this guy. He makes 62 grand a month, and he's looking to expand his company. Now, I didn't know at that time what the word network marketing was. I didn't know what an entrepreneur is. I didn't know what a mentor was. I just know that God was very, very good to me. So when I met this man, it was funny how many people were trying to get me away from him. And, telling me I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. And I knew already, Luis, that I didn't know what I needed to know to be successful. I already knew that. So I just followed what he told me to do. And I tell people that you're either inspired by desperation or inspiration. And I was really desperate. I needed to take care of me and my family. And so I just listened to him, and I just believed him and everything he told me to do. So the first thing that I would say to people that are out there that are brand new is I don't know why we're brought up in a culture where you feel like it's wrong to ask for help. If you're working with somebody and you get blessed to work with someone like Luis, you should be a pest. I'll tell you to do something just the opposite. Is when Luis Landeros tells you not to bother him anymore or that he's too busy, then stop. But you should be bothering him every second that you have. You should be asking him every question that you possibly can. I don't know why we grew up in a culture where it says, the wealthy people are busy, the successful people are busy. I'm not worthy of their time. I haven't done anything yet. And I'm going like, wow, if you were going to teach a professional football team, isn't it funny, as soon as they're recruited, they're immediately coached. They're told how to be successful, and if they don't listen, they're not part of the team. So my first thing, Luis, would say is always ask for help, and ask help from documented people, people that are willing to show you their success. Find a mentor, pay attention. If you already knew the info that you needed to be successful, then you're just lazy. And that's a whole different thing. But if you are serious about changing your life and giving to charity and making a difference in people's lives and your family's life, you need to find a mentor that's documented and helping other people succeed. You got to bother them, and you got to ask for help all the time. And ask for help until you feel you don't need it. Here's the funny thing, and Luis knows this. We still have mentors. The last time I seen Luis and got to give him a big hug was in Vegas, because me and him were surrounded by 400 people that made over 6 figures a year. There were people in there was 7 of us that actually made over $1 million, $2 million a year. And there was people in there that made $40, $80 million. The thing I love most about Luis is when I'm at a convention like that with hundreds of leaders from hundreds of countries, from, you know, hundreds and hundreds of different companies, I look over and Luis is there with a notepad. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's what I would tell new people to do. And I know, Luis, when you mentor people, that's difficult. That's difficult for them, for you to say, hey, listen, you need to shut up, do what I tell you to do, until you're not in a job anymore. See, it's hard for a mentor to tell a brand new person, hey, if you got a good idea, you need to take a shower. You need to take a cold shower. Just do what I tell you to do. Ask for help and use me as much as possible. So I hope that was a satisfactory answer.
Oh, no, 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 definitely, for sure. Very, very important. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You bet.
Another question would be is that what would be like the typical errors that you think or you suggest that we should avoid, either being as a beginner, intermediate, or as a pro? I mean, because you have gone through your career through all the stages. So what would be your typical things that on this stage, be careful about this. On this stage, be careful about this. What would be your suggestion in that regards?
It's amazing that you answer that question, Luis, because I just posted something that Tony Robbins just posted on my wall. And he said that it's amazing that sometimes we hang on so much to what we have, we're not really willing to go after our dreams and get our future. And so what I can say from, you know, my first statement is that every mistake that I feel I've made is twofold. One is not following my own advice. My own advice is you only listen and do what documented people do. I don't know why we're so open and acceptable to listening to people that have no documentation. So, you know, so you're out there learning and you're starting, you know, we think it's us, we think we're doing something wrong, and then we believe that the things that we're being taught are wrong because we don't get fast enough results. All of us want results faster than we always get them. And so what we have a tendency of doing is then someone says, well, what about this idea? And they got something shiny over there, and we take our eye off the ball and our focus, and we start doing undocumented stuff that takes us further away from the results that we have. And it doesn't make a difference if you're a beginner or intermediate or a pro. I still run into situations when I first started putting internet stuff together, as Luis knows. And I had 4 programmers that told me they knew what they were doing. I gave them thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, hours and hours and hours of stuff that they never finished, that never worked. Why didn't I say to the programmer what I'm telling you to say? Hey, listen, I know you say you can do what you say you can do. Can you give me a few names of some satisfied customers that I could call to ask? Because if I would have did that, I don't think I would have got a call back. So I don't know why I don't listen to my own advice. And the second part is never, ever, ever stop losing. I mean, learning. I said the word losing because Eric Worre just did a funny thing where he says you're either winning or learning. You know what I mean? You're never losing. And so failure really is just a mind thought. You're just doing things that are going to get you to a result if you continue to follow a proven path.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Another thing is that if you would do, I mean, if you would have to start all over again, see, what would you, in your case in particular, do and not do?
Well, the first thing I would do, Luis, is I would think bigger, faster. I would think bigger, faster. I look at what I've been blessed to accomplish in my life, and I could have did it years ago. So it was I would think bigger, and I would have put more effort into it, knowing what I know today. And so one of the things that I think is the biggest errors when I'm starting out is, again, just forgetting that there's someone there that can help me, and they can do a lot of work. And I love the phrase, it's like marriage. It's not 50-50. It's 101% and 101%. And so when you first get in, why wouldn't you use people above you that are making a percentage of what you bring as far as sales to the table. That just doesn't make any sense. I'll give you a neat example of that. In real estate, every real estate agent knows they have a real estate broker. And if that broker, just like in car sales, if you're a car salesperson, everyone knows that they got a manager, a sales manager, and they also know they have a finance manager. Why you wouldn't get that person to the point of making a decision and then turning them over to someone that can, you know, work their magic, work all of their skills, all their communication skills, knowing how to ask the right questions, feeling to the customer as someone that's concerned and sincere for them, because they really are, you know. Because I would rather watch someone like you, Luis, get 5 and 10 people started and get them results instead of work out hard knocks, the school of hard knocks. That's crazy. I would rather put people in front of you all day and say, Luis, I'll watch you, so I can watch what you say and the questions that you ask and how you get them to make a decision to get going instead of trying to close them, and how you got them, you know, to trust you enough to share with them your warm market. You know, I would want to watch you do that instead of finding out how to do it on my own. So the errors that I've made in my career is when I thought that I had it. You know, oh my God, I watched Luis one time. So now that I got it, so then I go out and try to help the next 3 people. They all say no, and then I go, listen, these things are stupid, they don't work. But it's funny, when people say they're stupid, it doesn't work, and they leave, Luis is still building a group. So it's still working for him and working for other pros.
I mean, that comment that you just shared brought me to another thing that would be, I don't know, if interesting, if you could help me out, expand a little bit more. When people ask you, how do I convince somebody? Do you think it's a convincing profession?
No, you said it perfectly. If you see someone, and I'm talking about mastering skills here, mastering communication, mastering compassion. When you see someone that's a master, and listen to my words closely, when you see someone that masters the skill of getting people to know, like, and trust them, getting them to understand that they're not in this alone, that we're working together with them to help them achieve their dreams. When you watch someone that's a master at doing that, you'll actually see someone look at them and go, well, I'm ready to get started. And they don't even know what the positions are, the cost of getting in. They want to be a part. They want to be a part of where this is going, because you helped throughout a game plan to share with them, you know, how you were going to get them a little extra money, and how you were going to get them out of debt, and how you were going to get one of their spouses out of their work, and how you were going to get them into a nicer car. When you see someone that's a master at that, then you'll know when you say that you're convincing people is you're trying to be a salesman. And when you're trying to be a salesperson and you're closing them, you might get good at doing that, but you can't get anybody to duplicate that. Because 95% of the people are non-sales types. And you can't tell a non-salesperson to be a salesperson. That's the worst combination, is a non-sales type watching a sales type. You know, because a non-sales type is looking at the guy, and the guy's saying, hey, listen, so, you know, put the address down here on the application of where you want the checks to go. You know, why don't you autograph down here? You know, not sign, autograph. And out of all the credit cards that you have, what credit card would you like to use for this investment on yourself? See, nice words, nice closing statements, but the non-sales type's going, I can't even ask my brother for the money back I borrowed him. I don't even know how to say, hey man, you told me you'd pay me back last month. Give me my money back. I can't even do that.
Wow. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that.
great questions.
One another thing is that in regards, as we all know, I mean, the timing sometimes of the people is not always the right time.
Yes.
So that brings us to another very important situation. What do you think is the best way to follow up with somebody?
The best way to follow up with somebody, again, is if you do the communications correctly, you're going to know some key things about them. You're going to find out what they do and what they don't like about what they do to earn a living. You know what I mean? And so let's say that you sit down with somebody and you say, well, listen, what do you do right now? Well, I'm a truck driver. You know what I mean? Well, what don't you like about being a truck driver? I'm away from my kids. I get up before they go to school and I get home and they're already asleep, you know? And then you show them a game plan to make that happen and they go, it's just not the right timing for me. It's just not the right timing for me. So they go on their very way. I would then follow up with them because you took the time to get to know them. And I would say, listen, just thought I'd check in with you. It's getting close to Christmas. How's everything going? How's the truck driving thing schedule going? Did that change at all? And
Wow.
just bring what was emotional for them and important to them back. Because people make decisions based on emotions, not on facts. So again, people always mentally just need to understand that, I tell people this all the time, Luis. If I would have got found 9 months before I made my decision to get involved in marketing, I was wide open with a dream to be a pit crew chief. You go from mechanic to pit crew to crew chief. And I was focused, believed that I could do it. I worked hard. It wouldn't have made a difference what anyone said to me. I would have not been available for an opportunity at that time. I was focused on my goal. And that's when people sort of, get weirded out a little bit when they talk to maybe like a new kid in college. You know what I mean? They're in their freshman, sophomore year of wanting to get their degree, and you don't get why they're not focused on your idea. You know what I mean? Someone might be going for a promotion, or someone just got a new job. And I always love telling this story because when I first got involved in network marketing, I remember being in the mall. I always went to mall to be able to pick people's interest, and I seen this guy, and he was sweeping the floors, and he was whistling. He had the biggest smile on his face, Luis, I've ever seen. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hi, how are you?" And he says, he says, "God has really blessed me." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "I just had my first baby boy yesterday." And he
Wow.
says, I was there, my boss let me off work, I got a job, and I'm the happiest father you know. And I just went, this is not a good time to recruit this guy. and he was so happy. I know people, and you know people too, Luis, that would have said to him, well, you want to make sure that you make enough money to take care of his education for the future. They would have said all kinds of, they would have took that joy away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just said, congratulations. I said, I pray for you and your family. And he said, oh, thank you very much. And I just went on my merry way, So great question again.
No. Thank you. Another question that I wanted to ask you is, I mean, you've been in this profession for many years.
27 years.
27 years. So you have seen so many things in 27 years. In my case, it's through my career, I have been to a tough position, I guess, when I thought things were heading the way I wanted to, and for X reason, I don't know, there were some misalignment among what I thought I wanted and the vehicle, the way we're heading.
Yeah.
And I know you have much more experience than me. Who would you think it would be? Because sometimes you don't want to be like making the decision of, I don't know, I don't like the word quit, but
Right.
not following through because maybe not the right decision, or maybe it is the right decision.
I know exactly what you're saying.
So when is the right time?
Yeah.
If
Well,
it's the right time.
here's something that I know, because I know that you're a man of faith. Here's the statement that I have for people that might be watching this interview, or will watch it in the future, is I'm going to say you got to be careful what you pray for. You got to be careful what you pray for. So, Luis, if you had envisioned in your life, where you seeing your group, where you seeing your culture, where you seeing yourself as a leader, if you see yourself there, and then also you seen your leaders there, because I know how much you love people. Yeah, you know, you're like me. You want more for your people sometimes than you want for yourself. You know, but that's a good, compassionate leader. So let's just say that your vision one day was to go to Paris. Just one day you decided to go to Paris. And all of a sudden you find out that you can't ride a bicycle there. You know, you thought for some reason that you just wanted to go to Paris, France, but you didn't know that the continents weren't connected. All right? So that's an obstacle you got to face when you finally get there. So now all of a sudden you got the money saved up, you're ready to take your lovely wife to Paris, and you find out you can't drive there. You can't drive there, you can't take a motorcycle there, and you can't take a bicycle there. You see what I mean? You can't take a train there. You can't take a bus there. Now you got to make a decision. I guess that we're either taking a boat that could take weeks, if not months, to get there, or I'm going to have to take a plane. Well, you just saved enough money for a vacation with food and maybe gas. So you got to readjust your goals and your vision. You can't forget the reason that you got involved in marketing to begin with. You can't forget the focus and the idea of being an entrepreneur. So my whole thoughts are, as I've gone through my life, and I'm not ashamed to say this, because, see, some people are ashamed to say what I'm about ready to say. You know, I've been in 15 companies, Louise. 15. And the way I look at them is exactly the way Edison, when he was asked about the light bulb. He invented the light bulb, everyone was excited, and of course you're always going to have the negative people. And the negative person walked up there and said, hey, listen, you know, isn't it true that someone said that you failed 10,000 times? And he said, I never failed. I figured out 10,000 ways it wouldn't work, and I used the ideas from every one of the ways that it didn't work to get the light bulb. See what I mean? So if someone looked at me and said, oh my God, you've been in 15 different companies, and I'm going, well, how many jobs have you had? I go, how many dates have you had before you found your wife? Yes. Or your spouse? See, I don't understand. I mean, how many different places, Luis, have you lived? See, so my whole goal in life is to keep focus on the things that I know that God wants me to have and to manage, and I'm going to keep my eye on the ball. I'll give you one perfect example that you've seen live. Okay, one is not only you might have to take a different vehicle to get to your goal, but the second one is you got to be very specific in your goals. So not this year, last year, one of my goals was I was going to speak in front of 4,000 people. I was going to speak in front of 4,000 people about what I love, and that's mentoring people and getting people to be successful. So that was my goal. Well, the next thing I know, Eric Worre calls me up like he did this year in front of 8,000 people, and he goes, Robert, can you come speak? I want you to be my anchor speaker. And I was, yeah. And there I was standing in front of everybody, Luis, talking in front of 4,000 people, doing exactly what I had on my goals. But I wasn't specific and say I want to speak in front of 4,000 of my people. in my company at my training. So everyone paid to go to that event. I just didn't get any money. Is that so? You can have a clear goal. So I tell people that might watch this and know that sometimes, just like that statement I started out with Tony Robbins, sometimes we're holding so tight to the stuff that we have, not willing to let go of it to get what God's got for us. It's like it takes a little bit of faith to believe that I tell people another statement I could say, Luis, is that in high school I dated 2 girls, and both those girls, for whatever reason, didn't want to be around me anymore. And I tell people that's called unanswered prayers. See, I wanted those women to be my wife. But when they said that I know they no longer wanted to be with me, we no longer were together, and now I have the wife that I have today. See, what if I would have just kept hanging on? What if I just said, well, she doesn't want me right now, but maybe she'll want me later? You know what I mean? And I never ever decided that I was going to date anybody else because I didn't feel like I could ever replace that love again.
Wow.
So, yeah, I hope that helped you, because every decision that I made, some of my decisions were made for me. That's sometimes a weird situation. You're in a company, everything's going great, and then the upper management all of a sudden makes decisions that are not right decisions. And so, I tell people when they found out that the Titanic got hit by an iceberg, you don't want to be the violin player. You don't want to be the last person on the ship. Yeah, so sometimes that one saying, I know you've heard that story, Luis, where the pastor's called to be a pastor of a church. You've heard that one? And so he goes, and he was an assistant pastor, and he builds this church, and then all of a sudden it started raining really, really hard, and then they said the dam was going to explode. So they did an evacuation of everyone in the village, and the pastor said, God called me here to speak. This is my church. And so sheriff goes by and he says, listen, pastor, you gotta leave. You gotta leave. This whole area is going to be flooded. You're going to die. And he said, no, I'm doing God's will. This is what God told me to do. And then all of a sudden the dam broke and the waters came up, and he climbed to the top of the church, and a boat came by, and it was a rescue team. And they said, pastor, you got to get in the boat. The waters are going to continue to rise. And he says, you guys don't understand. God told me to build this church. I'm staying here. And then the next thing that happened is a helicopter came, and he was swimming on top of the water with no life jacket. And they threw him a deal, and he said, no, he says, I'm going to have faith. God told me to do this. And the story comes where all of a sudden he's standing in front of the pearly gates, and God said, and he said to the pastor said to God, you called me to build that church. I heard your voice. Wasn't it you? And he goes, it was me. He goes, then why did you let me die? He says, well, you didn't hear my voice with the sheriff and the rescue boat and the helicopter. I was trying to save you. You wouldn't listen to anybody, so.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And last question is, what would be your words of advice? I mean, for somebody that is maybe doesn't have much experience on this model, business model, is practically just trying to get familiar. What is it all about? Is it real? I mean, what would be your word of advice for somebody that is hearing about this profession for the first time? I mean, what would be your suggestion for somebody like that?
The one thing that I would say is for a brand new person, is try to find and do your study on people that are successful. People that are successful in this profession. Luis and I, because we've been in it a long time, we know that God's not a discerner of persons. There's auto mechanics that are wealthy in this profession. There's accountants, there's doctors, there's surgeons, there's lawyers, there's, you know, truck drivers. That this profession allows you to become an entrepreneur and build a loyal, satisfied customer base, regardless of your sex, your age, your religious beliefs, everything. It doesn't make a difference. And that's why I love it so much. So a brand new person has to seek out other people that are good testimonials in other companies. I believe that where we're headed right now with our profession is going to continue to grow, because, you know, when you can get a lot of people, I know that, Luis, when you were at the GoPro event, you know, when you see some of the people that walk across the stage and you hear their story, well, that's what made me believe that I could do this. You know, I went to a deal and I seen a person that was from the Middle East. They had broken English. And all I remember is they stood in front of the room and say, I've been in a company for 6 months. I just buy new home and second Mercedes. And I was going, they don't speak very good English.
Wow.
What is he doing that I'm not doing? See, that person inspired me because I knew they had a lot of challenges. They were foreign to this country. They couldn't speak good English. It wasn't their #1 language. You don't come over here usually as a foreigner with any really good education to be able to become an accountant, a lawyer, or a doctor. You know, so you got to come over here and work hard. You got to come over here and be a laborer. You know what I mean? And work your way up. And so that admired me, because I tell people I still have difficulty speaking good English. But I am a person that works with my hands, and I am a laborer. And when I heard his story, it inspired me. It made me believe that if that person can do it, so can I. And so for brand new people that know nothing about this business model, if you find a lot of people that are successful in doing it, and there is, you know, there's I forget that number, there's $200 million a day being paid out to not the top producers. You know, people that are making a couple $100. You know, so this industry is responsible for over $178 billion. Wow. You know, if the comp plans pay out $70 billion of that, which I'm being, you know, conservative. And then there's another $4 or $5 billion that's being paid out to the people that make $1 million or more a year, or 6 figures a year. That still leaves over $200 million a day that's being paid out to average people, just like you and I.
Wow.
So you gotta find, if you think about sports, the Olympics, soccer, you always will find the people that are successful in those endeavors got inspired by somebody that they related to that was already doing it.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, Robert. I mean, I've told you many times that I really, truly admire everything that you have done. I feel blessed to have you as a friend, as a mentor. And thank you for your time. I know you have a busy schedule always, and thank you again. And I really appreciate your time.
Well, Luis, you know that you and I have been working together for years, and I get to, you know, publicly, I know I've done it before, but now in this interview and video, I cannot thank you enough for believing in you and going after your dream to provide for your family. I just was extremely, extremely blessed, and thank God on a daily basis that you ended up in my organization, which has blessed me and my family to extents that I could only dream about. So, you know, that's what's the win-win-win, is when, you know, you find people that you can be friends with and that you can learn from. Luis, I say this and I mean this. I've learned so much from you from afar. You know, I'm the kind of guy that's a study of mentors, and every time that you had a video online that was in English, I watched you. I watched what you did. I always can tell a leader based on what people say when they're not around. And your people love you. Your people really admire you, and you're an incredible leader. And I'm blessed that I got a chance to know you and work with you.
No, thank you. I really thank you for your words. thanks, and I really appreciate it. I mean, Thank you for your time. It's been a real pleasure.
Merry Christmas to you and your family, and 2015 is going to be an epic year for us. I know it for a fact, and you know I'm here if you need me for anything.
No, thank you. Thank you for everything, and we'll be in communication. Thanks.
All right. God bless.
God bless. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.